Welcome back, everybody. You got Will and I-Man here from the Block Runner, MetaZone, and Rovi, and today we got a BlockGate happening.
BlockGate, eh?
So, all right. So there's a little discussion happening amongst the Bitmap community members, the Bitmap citizens.
Yeah, it started out a couple weeks ago. It was like one of the earliest concerns or considerations, and then it kind of like just fizzled away a bit.
Not only that, when we first discovered Bitmap, we had this conversation.
Yeah, we did. We were like immediately, thinking of like, so what's the strategy here? Like, what should we be minting or inscribing, right?
Yeah.
And immediately we're thinking, what about stuff that's going to happen in the future? It's like, is that going to hold any value?
Yeah. Right. And we got some in the future.
Right. Just in case. But we had no idea how this would all pan out. But now the discussion has gone like pretty much full blown nuclear.
Yeah.
So it needs to be addressed. Right. So, so what are we talking about?
All right. So I don't want to say it started with this because I think there was conversations all around, but I think it really heated up now that we're closer to blockout.
Yeah. We get literally like
probably today or
tomorrow
morning.
Yeah. It's coming soon.
All right. And so this guy says from Chain Racing Club, he says the bitmap blockout, something I am diametrically opposed to.
Wow.
An arbitrary rule that breaks with ordinal tradition of honoring the first to inscribe rule. A scheme to incentivize a false scarcity in bitmaps and create a fee war that will lead to thousands of wasted dollars.
Yeah.
First of all, I don't know if this is a good argument. Thousands of wasted dollars? We thought hundreds of millions of dollars were wasted in a bunch of crypto scams.
Right.
So I don't know if this is really a good enough argument to be like one way or another.
Well, where did the wasted dollars come from? The competitiveness of trying to be first, right?
Did you know that we're more than just a YouTube channel? We also built MetaZone, the first app store for the metaverse. Buy, sell, and explore a new class of digital assets like our flagship game Rovi.ai. Support us by collecting your digital assets through MetaZone at metazone.io. Like, comment, and subscribe to stay updated. All right, back to the video. Well,
just outbidding each other in the mempool.
Well, I think what he's I think what he's referring to is the future blocks not being identified as valid.
Huh.
And so the people about future blocks, they just wasted thousands of dollars.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but anyway, that's not the point of the argument. So here is the output of a chat GPT.
You think so?
Oh,
you can 100%. Just tell, right?
Yeah. So this is a chat GPT. So the proposed change
interesting
in bitmaps, but yeah, we were actually debating on like AI here.
AI thoughts, okay.
Yeah, bitmaps policy seems to be a departure from the original rules of the Ordinals protocol where ownership of a bitmap block is determined by the first valid inscription. In general, changes like this have significant implications on the community and the value of tokens. Cost implications. Encouraging a fee war could lead to a significant increase in the costs associated with inscribing bitmaps. This may potentially deter smaller players or those with less financial resources for participating in the bitmap ecosystem. See, this I'm sort of aligned with. And, and I lean both sides here. Like, I see both sides.
But the important thing, I guess, to kind of understand is that's kind of the beauty in this, in that there's still accessibility even to the, class of individuals who don't have so much, capital to deploy.
Yeah.
Which is the masses of humanity on this planet, right? Not everybody is like an investor.
Yeah.
Right. Some people just want to have access and participate. That's the point. Within these blocks are thousands of parcels, and that is the
onboarding mechanism.
Yeah, that's the equitable offering of the bitmap ecosystem, right? Where we have billions of these, virtual spaces.
That's such a good
up for grabs, right?
Such a good point.
Yeah, and it's important to have also, like, in any kind of economic structure, it's important to have, what's the word? Like layers, I guess, of people who own certain sectors of value and, within this economy and stuff. Like, economics is very complex.
Yeah,
right?
Any market, you do want the whales to be participating. Right. That is part of like the market dynamics. You want them involved because if they see value, everyone else sees value, and there's just an inherent competition. So it is a good thing.
Yeah, whales bring like intangible
legitimacy.
And like, again, like market demand, like forces of market demand, right? Which is what's going to help the whole ecosystem overall, right? That's what's going to attract developers at the end of the day. Yeah. That's really what we want.
Right.
At the end of the day, we want the most healthy economic structure and ecosystem for devs to want to be a part of it, right?
Yeah.
To build with it, because there's something for them to gain, right?
Yeah, and to summarize the BlockGate debate, it's essentially, should we as a community acknowledge future blocks? Obviously, even if we do acknowledge them, you cannot build on future blocks unless someone comes up with some synthetic version and like arbitrary land in the future blocks or whatever.
Yeah.
But you can't build on them without the transaction data. It's not the same as existing blocks.
Yeah, but it would be just completely arbitrary. We would no longer be clinging to the theory of bitmap, right? Which is we're leveraging the block data within the blocks of Bitcoin blockchain's historical provenance, like the last however long it's been running. That's what we're referencing, right? When we're constructing or architecting these new virtual environments.
Yeah.
That's like the whole beauty behind it, right?
Yeah. And if you acknowledge future blocks, you could be opening up a new market dynamic where
now it's just anything goes again.
Anything goes. There could be its own market of like future blocks, speculation, whereas existing blocks is about building and businesses and like the metaverse, and it's like two different markets, right?
Okay. So so that is like the roots of what's being argued here, right?
Yeah.
So because blockout, if you're not 100% sure what that means, it's literally the point in time where all existing blocks have been claimed, essentially, through the ordinal inscription process.
And right now there's about 796,000. And there's a good tool here that someone developed. It's called bitmap.wtf.
Nice.
And
nice
it'll
name.
tell you how many total blocks, 796.
Wow, dude, we're getting there.
Yeah, 773. So there's a discrepancy in these different tools right now, but nonetheless, I mean, we're getting close.
They're in the ballpark. We're talking 20 to 30,000, like.
Yeah.
And typically that gets claimed within a day, like on average.
Right.
Like, so most likely we will have hit total blockout within the next 24 hours or so.
On Ordinal's wallet, we have 784 out of 796.
So like
12,000.
Jesus. Man, dude, we're right there on the edge, dude.
Yeah. So that was what we got. One side, future blocks, do we acknowledge it or not? Or do we focus on like existing blocks only? Like that is the only thing that's acknowledged.
Well, it's just, I guess the concern is, okay, there's only going to be post-blockout 144 new fresh blocks minted every single day. Every 10-minute interval, there's a new block. So that is like a new war begins every 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Because the only other way to secure one of these things is on the open secondary markets that already exist and will continue to, I guess, mature over time.
Yeah.
Which, so it's like a debate of, I don't know, very root like economics, right? Like, do we want scarcity or not? Things like that.
Yeah.
Or like, no matter what, these things are infinite, right? In the context of the Bitcoin blockchain.
Yeah, 100%.
Like staying running for all the rest of time.
Yeah, imagine we're in the year 2200. Bitcoin is still beating, right?
So chugging away, dude.
Yeah. It's still generating new districts.
Every 10 minutes.
Every 10 minutes, yeah.
And probably around that point, what? Like, how many will exist? I mean, millions. Right?
Yeah, millions.
Millions of districts. That's still...
Tens of millions, yeah.
Still a scarce asset in the
100%.
context of, like, how many humans are on Earth, right?
Yeah.
We're still talking much more scarce than, like, you know... Like, the internet is truly non-scarce, right? Anybody could spin up a web page.
True.
That's the difference. So, it's basically that. Do we want to have, like, this built-in buffer, which is, like, you know, the bitmap theory itself, leveraging Bitcoin's, you know, block production...
Yeah, mechanism.
Cycles, yeah. Or not? Do we just want to have free reign?
I feel like that's a sexier story that we limit to just the existing blocks, and every 10 minutes there's essentially a war.
Oh yeah, dude.
I feel like that is a way more entertaining outcome.
So and that's what we want. Right? Is that what we want?
I think so.
We want entertainment. Well, for what reasons? Like
to have people talk about it.
Okay.
It's in the same context you're talking about Bitcoin. You're talking about bitmap, and like because bitmaps are more rare than Bitcoin, right?
Yeah.
We're talking about the year 2200. There's like tens of millions where 21 million have already been generated for Bitcoin.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think you're totally right. You know, this is how you, I guess, like increase demand for these things, right?
Yeah.
And all that is going to lay like, again, like a good economic framework for people to become attracted to it, right?
Yeah.
The same thing with Bitcoin. You know, Bitcoin's artificial parameters as far as like how their economic system proliferates throughout the next 100 years or whatever.
Yeah.
That was set in stone from the very beginning. Hasn't been changed, really. I mean, every time there's an attempt to change things like that, guess what happens? Forks.
That's right. Yeah.
So it kind of feels like that's kind of where we're headed already. You know,
I agree. I feel like there's a timeline that could exist in the future where people, a big enough group of people, think that we should acknowledge future blocks.
Yeah.
And they will be acknowledged in that sort of fork, if you will.
Yeah, I think that's perfectly fine and viable. You just spin it up like a bitmap 2 or something, or
Bitmap cache,
like bitmap, like like I don't know, bitmap real or something, whatever you want to call it. Yeah,
Satoshi vision
or Blockamoto. I don't know, dude.
Yeah, the negative Blockamoto.
That's right. So
the cursed Blockamoto.
Yeah, and I think I saw the polls on Twitter. This issue literally is like it's split in the middle. Basically,
it is.
It's like 50-50.
Yeah, yeah. And Blockamoto's position is he believes that we should only acknowledge existing blocks. And I'm starting to tend towards that direction.
Yeah, you started out in the other direction, right?
I did, because I wanted the free market to decide what was valuable.
I see.
And I have future blocks, but
yeah,
I feel like the better and more entertaining outcome is that we acknowledge only existing blocks.
Yeah, I think it's important. Like we have to understand like degenomics in a way. Like you know, these obviously the end game vision for Bitmap is for this to become like a very highly adopted standard and like a ubiquitous like framework for metaverse development into the far future, right? Because why would you want to develop anywhere else except for like an ownership layer associated to Bitcoin?
Right.
It's very attractive, but in the meantime, like I said, it's all about attracting these developers to build that value, right? And the way you do that is you leverage like the innate tokenomic like models, I guess, that have been proven to work. Like a Bitcoin, right?
Right.
When we talked about BitTensor, like why we were so bullish on it, because they literally carbon copied, you know, Satoshi's economic scheme.
Yeah.
For the same purpose. They want to attract the largest computational network on Earth. They want to replicate what happened on Bitcoin in support of AI and machine learning algorithms,
which is brilliant.
It is. Yeah. It's like if you're a developer, you're gonna want to build on that.
Yeah.
Right.
100%.
So it's the same thing. We don't want to like deviate from what we know kind of works. Right?
That's true.
That's my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah.
And everyone's entitled to their own. And that's the whole point, dude. This shit's so early. Like, nobody's really wrong here.
There could be a better market conditions for a world where we do recognize future blocks. There could be, right? But I think the more entertaining outcome is one where we just recognize existing blocks. So So, this was, you know, a transition for me because I thought, you know, free market dynamic.
No, and I hear that argument too, dude. I get it.
Yeah.
And let's go back in time to, you guys don't know about this, but in the early Decentraland days, there's a market called the wearables market that was that a lot of people bought into because of the scarcity implications during the early days, right? There was a limited supply of these
NFTs,
these digital goods that you could like, you know, deck your avatars out with. But and we at the time we were advocating for like, dude, this is too limiting. Like, not enough creativity is going to happen. The market can't really flourish until you open this up. Right. So anybody can participate, and you're gonna have infinite products out there. But the ones that have like the most value, the market will determine.
Right.
Just like real life. Like you can have infinite, you know, handbags. Or shoes.
Anyone can generate a car company. Right. The market will decide whether your car company is valuable or not.
Pretty much. So so I understand that argument as well, but I think it's just, I don't know, much more difficult to pull off. I don't know if it's a difficulty thing or it's just I don't think you can ignore like the Web3 tokenomics like aspect, at least in the early stages. You know?
I own one of the future happening blocks in 2032. It's like 1 of 5 or something like that.
Oh God.
And let's assume, let's accelerate 10 years from now. We're in 2032, and we're in the timeline of we only acknowledge existing blocks.
Okay.
If there's a miner or Michael Saylor or somebody goes and pays like $1 million to mine, like $1 million worth of fees to mine that block, that bitmap, that is good for the ecosystem.
Yeah.
That's not bad.
Yeah.
And so because that just, it tells you how much value these bitmaps have, that somebody's willing to do that.
Mm. Yeah, and what's the other flip side of that, of the scenario where
I don't know, maybe
you own it now?
Yeah, I guess Michael Saylor
you would have to sell it to Michael Saylor for $1 million. Is that not also attractive? Like,
it is attractive.
That's also like a good narrative, right? Like
it is
a good it's like acknowledgement of this ecosystem and the value that lies within it, right?
Yeah,
like,
I just feel like it's more organic if Michael Saylor buys it and like. Equally, it's like he's got a fair chance everybody else. We don't have $1 million, so we can't really compete with Michael Saylor in this scenario. Yeah. But if we did, we could compete with him.
Yeah, I mean, really, ultimately, the miners are going to control this, right? At some point.
Yeah.
If enough value,
that's true.
Yeah, if enough value is perceived in this market, then the miners will.
They'll add the transactions.
Yeah.
They'll add it.
Yeah. So I think that is the fear and the concern, right? Is like we don't really know exactly how this is going to pan out, but there are potential like downside
manipulations.
Yeah. Collusions and stuff like that. We're introducing a new vector of essentially centralization to at least the future side of all of this, right?
Yeah. I mean, the Taproot Wizards, they collaborate with one of the miners or something like that in order to put a 4 megabyte picture in a block.
Yeah, exactly.
So if that's the alternative, right? If we only acknowledge existing blocks, that's what we're going to have to deal with.
I totally agree. And it's up for debate whether or not like that's going to be, I mean, we're kind of seeing that with the whole rare sats thing, right? It's a small handful of players.
Yeah.
They've somehow have a control on this like market, this new value perception within, the Bitcoin block data, which are these rare sats. They control the supply of this stuff, right?
Yeah.
In the sense, like, they're doing all of the excavating, whatever that entails, to have ownership of these rare attributes, these rare stats that the market is, they're building their own demand for this stuff.
Yeah.
But it's under centralized authority and control. Like, we know how these things enter circulation.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if it was just like, I don't know, totally like free for everybody to own and stuff, then maybe the value wouldn't be as rich. So I don't know.
Yeah.
This is a tough one, dude. I see both sides for sure.
And so let's go back to one point from this discussion here, as he brings up that this goes against the ordinals tradition. The ordinals tradition is about 6 months old, give or take.
Yeah.
And the ordinals tradition didn't account for something like Bitmap when it was first generated by Casey Rodarmore. And so just because, he started like this tradition of the first to mint, that doesn't mean it makes sense going forward. Not in every case. Yeah. And in this case, I mean, I think we got a legitimate reason not to follow it. But then again, so what's going to happen, man? There's going to be 2 separate communities. And
you're calling it?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's going to be 2 separate communities, one that agree that we should acknowledge future blocks, and another one that doesn't agree. So the indexers are going to decide, okay, there's 2 different groups. It's like, do I mine Bitcoin or do I mine Bitcoin Cash? Right. So it depends on how much money does the indexer make in any scenario. If there's a big enough market for both, they're going to do both.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there definitely is. Like, draw the parallel between all the different domains of the internet, right? We have .coms, .nets, .orgs, whatever the fuck. So there's no reason why we can't have multiple like frameworks for, the metaverse layer associated to Bitcoin. Just different, different back-end interpretations and rules and, parameters.
Yeah, but I
stuff.
think in that scenario, you're talking about like the multiverse, right? The most valuable multiverse would be Bitmap, and then all
like .com, right?
Yeah, .com, and then you have .ai and .io and all that.
But those domains, like everybody, if you're a company, you want the .com domain. Like if you're Walmart and we have a multiverse on Bitcoin, you're gonna want to deploy your brand on the original bitmap.
Yeah.
Right?
But I think this analogy illustrates the importance of this decision. What is .com's decision in this BlockGate?
Yeah.
And right now, the .com decision is only existing blocks.
That's correct. And there's plenty of space, like I said, in a multiverse reality.
Okay, so then
for other interpretations.
And if in that interpretation, that multiverse,
yeah,
then there's a new race for all the blocks from 1 all the way to infinity.
Totally. And then, so then the objective for whoever's leading that initiative is to really, again, like build the infrastructure, the frameworks that are going to enable developers essentially to build, and of course, you know, just individual creators to, again, create that market demand.
Yeah.
From
Which,
the,
that's a tall ask.
Oh yeah.
That's a tall ask.
It's tough because we've been working in that space for years.
Yeah.
So we know exactly how challenging that is.
Yeah. So I hear both sides, and I think ultimately that's what it's going to turn into. Bitmap is just existing blocks, and then Bitmap 2 is going to be, you know, free reign.
Right. So I guess, this is another like wait and see moment. But yeah, this is I guess in the comments, let us know what you guys think about this specific issue. Because this is very important. Blockout is coming very soon. So as far as we know, nothing's going to change. So, I mean, you know, it's really, like you said, it's up to the indexers really to recognize this.
That's right.
At the end of the day. You know?
Yeah. All right, guys. Like Iron said, let us know if you have any thoughts in the comments section below. I don't think we're going to be done with this conversation. So if it heats up again, we're going to be talking about it some more.
Yeah.
Make sure you...
And stay tuned for this weekend. We have an interview with IMSO Chris.
IMSO, yeah.
We'll be posting that. And, dude, he's building something crazy.
Yeah, yeah.
We've seen some teasers at this stuff. So, it should be an interesting conversation for sure.
Yeah. All right. Follow us at Twitter at metazone.io, the Block Runner, and Rovi AI, and we'll catch you in the next video.
Peace.